Hey everyone, it's your favorite real estate agent in Las Vegas, Robert Steim, Steim Realty Network of Keller Williams, the marketplace. Hey, month of March just came to an end, so I figured we'd do a real quick recap of the monthly numbers and how things look and see if we can identify any trends. So if we look at this, we're going to be looking at the numbers as of the end of March 2023. Now this report or summary is going to be the entire MLS. So if you look at my weekly reports that I do, it's basically focusing on single family homes. This one's going to include condos, townhouses, and single family properties. So it's going to be a little bit more of an overview of everything. But let's take a look and see what we see here. So if we're looking at the total sales in the month of March, we've got 3,093. Compare that to last month, we had 2,346 sales in February. That's up nearly 32% since last month. So it's pretty typical this time of year. The spring's starting to come, weather's warming up, people are starting to think about moving. It's normal for activity to come up. So we're up nearly 32% since last month. And compare that to last year. So last March of 2022, 4,517 total sales. Now, year over year, we're down 32%. And I think that's fair to say because of interest rates being higher, but also inventory being lower, which we'll get to. But yeah, we've seen an increase in activity month over month, but a decrease in activity since last year. And if we look at the total inventory for the month of March, we had 6,613 properties that were on the market. Compare that to last month, 8,130 properties. That's down nearly 19%. So we can still see that the number of properties on the market are shrinking, and the availability for buyers, there's just less to choose from. If you're on the selling side of things, that's less competition you have to deal with. So definitely something to keep an eye on. We've been talking about week over week over week. We've seen drops in the inventory levels, kind of waiting to see if sellers decide to get back on the market for the spring and take advantage of the selling season here. But compare that number now to last year. Last March was 5,076 properties, and that we are currently up over 30%. So our inventory situation is actually more available right now than it was a year ago, but you could see the trend has been down month to month. If we factor all that stuff in, now we look at the total supply. So we calculate the supply by the number of sales as it relates to the number of homes that are currently on the market. If nothing else comes on the market and the sales pace keeps up, how long will that last us? So this past March, we're looking at 2.4 months of supply. So as I mentioned in a previous video, roughly 6 months is kind of the guideline. If it's more than 6 months, then usually the buyers have more options and it's considered a buyer's market. Less than 6 months is usually considered a seller's market where the sellers are calling the shots. However, with the higher interest rates, it's just been a little bit strange because in some cases the buyers do have some advantages and can negotiate a little bit harder, get some of their closing costs covered in some cases. But if a property is in really nice shape, desirable location, priced right, then we are still seeing multiple offers. So all those things you got to factor into to your specific situation and the types of homes that you're looking at. If we look at the total supply then for last month, we had 2.8 months of supply. So that's down about 14%. So we're trending where activity is picking up, sales are picking up, but inventory is dropping. So that number may get smaller and smaller depending what happens. And then we compare that to a year ago. So last year with the higher sales numbers and low inventory also, we only had 1.2 months supply. So that's a pretty severe seller's market where the prices tend to go up pretty quick. We're not there yet, but depending on how things work out, we could start to see prices go up just based on the low amount of inventory and people that have to move and maybe creating bidding wars. So again, something to keep an eye on. If we look at the median sales price for March, it was $415,800. And if you remember the difference between a median sales and average sales price, so median is going to be, here's a list of all the sales that took place, and here's the number that's right there in the middle in terms of, like, you know, there's $10 million homes, $1 million homes, $500,000 homes, $100,000, fixer-uppers. But the one that's most in the middle of all those numbers is currently 415,800. Average sales price is where you take all those numbers, you add them up, and then you divide by the number of properties that are there. So something like a $20 million house can really skew those numbers. So that's why I pay a little bit more attention to the median sales price, but I have data for both. So we'll look at both. But anyways, back to the median sales price. Last month it was 420,000. So prices actually did go down about 1%. So nothing major, but at least it was a downward trend. And then this a year ago March, the median sales price was $380,000. So $380,000 last March. This March it's $415,800. That's up over 9.4%. So you usually see appreciation reported on annual numbers. So if we look year over year right now, about 9.4%. The average sales price in March is $488,635. So you can see that number is higher. We have seen a few more high dollar luxury properties that have sold in the not too distant past here. So that's going to skew the numbers a little bit higher. There's more super high-end properties than there are like really, really low-end properties. So that's numbers almost always going to trend higher. But if we compare that to last month, the average sales price was $490, so just under $491, and that's down less than 0.5%. So again, for the most part, we've stayed even the last few months in both median and average sales price, fluctuating just a little tiny bit. And then if we look at last March, the average sales price was $446,393. And funny enough, that's actually up over 9.4%, just like the median sales price. So the correlation between the two this month worked out to be roughly the same, 9.4%. But anyways, this data kind of keeps going with what I've been talking about. The things I'm watching is the interest rate. Is the interest rate going to adjust to maybe push buyers off the fence and get them moving? Are we going to see prices increase or decrease? What's going to happen? Is there going to be more inventory that hits the market to give buyers more options in negotiating and maybe drive the price down? Or are we going to keep seeing this inventory shrink and shrink and shrink, and then people fighting and having bidding wars and then actually driving the price up? So keeping an eye on those sort of things whenever the timing is right for you. That's kind of where you need to take these things into consideration. If you're in a position where you can kind of wait and see, that's your option as well. But if you want to talk about any of this specifically, advice catered to your situation. I don't like to give blanket advice, but this is the data that I base my information off of. But you can contact me with the information there. If you like this content, please go ahead and like and subscribe and hit the alerts and leave comments and all that fun stuff. And yeah, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Hopefully this information is helpful, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much.